Next on BYUSN, preseason all Big 12 teams are out, and only one BYU Cougar made the list. Should there have been another who made the cut?
And the Big 12 preseason media poll will be released later on today. We'll tell you where BYU will be expected to land.
We're calling our shots today. It's a big-time Thursday. Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up with the man who is indubitably fired up to be here for today's show, Brian Logan.
I don't know what that word means, but
It means without a doubt.
now you know you can't use big words around me. My vocabulary is like this big. You know this.
I just taught you something. Indubitably, without a doubt, you're fired up to be here.
Indubitably.
Now, I bring that up for a very specific reason. So last night, I was hanging out with my friends at KSL in Salt Lake City and doing the late night sportscast, and just thought I'd have some fun on Twitter. So I threw it out to the fans. Hey, give me a random obscure word that you need me to work into the sportscast tonight. And I got like 68 submissions in 20 minutes. Wow. So we're sorting through all these, and we settled on indubitably and plethora. And we worked them into the sportscast last night.
Oh, you got a plethora of options, huh? I learned that.
Plethora?
I learned that. I learned that like 2 weeks ago.
Let's go, man. Hey, loaded show. A plethora of options, if you will, for BYU fans today.
Yeah, we'll discuss the lone Cougar that was on the all season, the preseason Big 12 team.
Yeah.
And there's only one, which I was actually surprised that there was any. Actually.
Okay. Oh, so you were surprised they even had one?
I was surprised. I was surprised. We'll talk about the poll that will be released later on today. And then we'll let you know where we feel BYU will land. And then we'll talk to Mika. He'll join us to discuss his new podcast.
Cannot wait.
And then in an alternate universe, what we might have BYU went back to the Mountain West Conference. No, any old conference.
So much multiverse happening these days.
I know, right?
In our day and age, right? That said, all rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
Gave him some smoke. Is he stay in bounds? Yes!
An all Big 12 honor or an all Big 12 snub? You decide. What's Trending, presented by Feastbox, donating 10% of every order to Full of Hope, a charitable organization that feeds hungry families. Yes, the preseason all Big 12 teams are out, Brian, and the preseason awards for the offensive and defensive players of the year, along with the newcomer of the year. The only BYU player to grace the list, if you will, is a man out of Orem High School and a five-star high school recruit. The only man, I believe only the second man to ever start a game for BYU as a five-star recruit, Kingsley Suamataia, was named an all Big 12 first-team preseason pick on the offensive line. So my question for you is, and there are a few here as it pertains to this list, Brian, first and foremost, is there any BYU football player right now, not named on the list yesterday, that deserves to be on the list right now?
So like I said earlier, I was shocked that BYU had one person, and that's just mostly because of they're newcomers, right? BYU's a newcomer, and with all conference and preseason awards, a lot of it has to do with familiarity, right? And understanding who these players are. There's a lot of hype, there's a lot of clout, there's a lot of buzz involved.
Yeah.
Usually, let's say if you're a sophomore and you win all conference honors, most likely your junior year you'll get the honors. Your senior year you get the honors just because, right? It doesn't really matter about your performance. And so usually guys have these positions locked in already. Media members who are voting, they know these guys in and out.
Okay.
So that's why I was shocked. I was like, wow, okay.
Okay.
But I thought if anybody would be on there, it would be Aiden Robbins.
Ah, interesting.
And just listening to media members of the Big 12
that
are familiar with these teams, they thought the current running back that was on there, or two running backs on there, was kind of up for grabs, kind of iffy, right? And I think when you look at the production that Aiden had, not a lot of running backs, get over 1,000 yards rushing. And I can see how they say, well, he did that in the Mountain West. That's not the Big 12,
Sure,
right?
sure.
It's UNLV, etc. I can see that, but production and numbers, I think, if you understand productions and numbers, I think he would have similar numbers in comparison to to the Big 12. Right?
You feel like his Mountain West numbers are going to translate to the Big 12, given the increase in help in his offensive line and what he has innately as a football player. Is that what I'm gathering?
Everything, right? He's coming from like a 1993 Honda to like a Mercedes.
Yes, but he's an elite driver, is what you are saying.
Right, exactly.
So he's an elite driver
right.
that didn't have the machinery around him to perform at that elite level.
Yeah.
Speaking of cars,
absolutely. So we could talk about from just the coaching standpoint, right? You mentioned the offensive line. You could talk about the resources that he's getting,
okay.
right? Food and nutrition, strength and conditioning program. All of those things, right, are going to enhance what he already has,
yeah.
which is already good. The characteristics that he brings as a football player. And so I think if media members really studied each team like newcomers,
yeah.
I think he would be on there. Kingsley, to me, it's almost like you can Google like top prospects, and Kingsley's going to come up, right?
He's a projected first-round draft pick by most major NFL draft experts.
Those media members are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll throw him in there.
Yeah, toss him in there.
First rounder, throw him in.
He should be good. Yeah, exactly. So, I think there's a little bit of that involved as well.
For sure.
Which is fine.
I understand it. It kind of has to be that way, right? Especially with the 4 new teams coming in. It's like, well, what are these teams that have not competed in the Big 12 until this year, and who do they bring over, and what players do they have that are good enough to fit in with the already pretty solid core of players within the Big 12 conference?
Absolutely.
It's a fun conversation. I like the direction you're going with Aiden Robbins. I don't know that I'm ready to give him a straight-up first-team preseason All Big 12 nod, but I do think he has a legitimate case to be the newcomer of the year. And that was part of this list. Yeah. Because he does qualify as a newcomer. He's new to BYU, while BYU is new to the Big 12. So in a couple of ways, it feels very new. And I like your analogy there. Like when he's playing for UNLV and he rushes for over 1,000 yards, again, yes, it's the Mountain West, and those defenses are not as stout as BYU will see week to week in the Big 12. But if he is a great football player and has great talent, and you put him behind what we believe is going to be one of the better offensive lines in the Big 12 right now, why would he not have a season that would qualify him and put him in the conversation, at least to be the newcomer of the year?
And look who his offensive coordinator is. We give a lot of credit to Zach and Jaron, and to Tyler Algier, right?
But Aaron Roderick's done some great things with running backs.
He's putting guys in the NFL, in those positions, and so in A-Rod I trust, more than and I'm not taking anything from Zach or Jaron or Tyler's accomplishments, but when you have an offensive mind coach, like when was the last time you were worried about BYU's offensive line?
It's been
not offensive line. I'm sorry, offense. Just offense.
Just straight up offense.
Just the offense. When's the last time you walked into a season and said, "Oh man, I'm nervous about the offense"?
Probably 2017, 2018.
Right.
It's been the better part of 5 or 6 years, right before Aaron took over full time.
Right, exactly. That's exactly my point. Yeah. I thought to myself, when was the last time that I was nervous about the offense? And it's right around the same time because of A-Rod. So again, going back to what I said with if you have characteristics, or you have players that have great characteristics and great skill sets, and then you get them with a coach and a good scheme, a great offensive mind, the production is going to increase. So I think it'll carry over.
Okay. I'm with you on Aiden Robbins. I think he has a legitimate case to be newcomer of the year. If there's a guy that I think could be on the list right now, not named Kingsley Suamataia, I got to go with my guy Ryan Rico. Punters are people too, Brian.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you.
You dubbed it on this show.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Now, kickers aren't people. Punters are people, not kickers.
Punters are people, too. Ryan Rico's a freak athlete, and he's almost been punished because BYU has not punted hardly at all in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
His numbers he hasn't punted enough for people to be like, oh, yeah. But his per average, really, really good. 46.2 yards per punt. He was an all-independent first-team player for what it's worth. I know that the independent status isn't the Big 12. On the Ray Guy Award watch list before in 2021. Brian, this dude has some legitimate skill. And it's he holds the record for longest punt.
Is there any punters currently on the list?
There are, yeah.
Okay.
There's a punter on the list for a first-teamer. They do every position.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
I'm just saying, if there were one person that probably has the strongest case to be on this list right now that is not, I'd give it to Ryan Rico. At the end of the season, you give me Eddie Heckard, your guy in the defensive backfield. He comes over as a FCS All-American. I think he could have a big season. Connor Pay at center on the offensive line. Pro Football Focus loves his numbers. He's due for a breakout season as well. So a couple of other names in there. It's fun. It's fun to talk about.
It is. I like Keaton Slovis, Cody Epps, Aiden Robbins, obviously, and then Jacob Robinson. Notice how I put.
I said yesterday, Jacob's the most underappreciated defensive player on the BYU team right now.
Oh, hey man, give me some. Give me some.
He is so undervalued and so good.
I agree with you, man.
So good.
It's hard to for me as a corner to go out and watch the defense fully because I'm just so focused on him. Because he does things that I early in his career that I didn't do until my senior year. So, that gap of excellence of how he could finish his career is, sky's the limit for him. So.
All right, let's keep this rolling. Because today is another big day for the Big 12, Brian.
Yeah, it is. The preseason Big 12 media poll will be released after the show. Wish it was released before.
I know. Come on.
So Spencer, what do you think BYU will fall?
Okay, let me clarify. This is very different. Okay, so where I think they will land in this poll that is voted on by media members, where I think they will land, and where I believe BYU deserves to be picked are two different things. Where I think BYU will finish when all is said and done, two very different things. So
right.
we're discussing where we believe the media are voting BYU to finish. Right? This is not our opinion. I believe BYU will be picked to finish by others in the number 11 spot out of 14 teams. And guess what? I've seen BYU as low as 13, 14 in some of these preseason magazines. I think they're going to settle in to number 11, which I think is a few spots too low from where they eventually will finish. Texas is going to be the overwhelming favorite. In fact, Brian, humor me if you will. I'm going to roll out my Big 12 preseason poll guesses.
Let's do it.
Okay? These are the guesses where I think everybody's going to be picked to finish. Yeah. Texas, mentioned their overwhelming favorite. Oklahoma, I believe they will have a resurgent air around them in this preseason poll. They had a terrible season relative to Oklahoma 1 year ago. I think they're going to be picked to finish second. Then there is the sleeper pick for a lot of people, Texas Tech. BYU hosts them on October 21st. Tough game. Kansas State, Baylor, and TCU, 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively. Kansas and the preseason Offensive Player of the Year quarterback Jalen Daniels in at number 7. UCF at number 8. Oklahoma State also didn't have a great year. They lost a ton, Brian. I think they'll be picked to finish 9th. Then Iowa State right in front of BYU. And rounding out the bottom, West Virginia, Cincinnati, and Houston in that order. Do you take issue with anything there in my preseason poll guesses?
I don't think that the media will have a member of the Big 12, a current member of the Big 12, ranked underneath a newcomer.
Really?
That's what you think
UCF, Houston, BYU, and Cincinnati are they going to be the bottom 4?
Yeah, I didn't even need to make a preseason list because I was like, oh, they're just going to be in the bottom 4.
UCF's pretty good, man. They're pretty legit. And they got a great quarterback coming back.
Well, looking at the all conference teams, there was only 2 players, right? So Kingsley on offense, and then there is a guy I think from Cincinnati on defense, right?
Okay.
like, do they really? One is this: do they really know us? Two, like, have they put in the work to know us?
Okay.
And so I just think just naturally they're going to be, and then the bias, right? They're going to be thinking in their heads, oh, these guys are coming from, lower level conferences. They haven't experienced anything like this before. It's not like these 4 new teams were Power 5 teams and playing in a Power 5 conference and then going to another Power 5 conference, right? Yeah. Like, I think there'd be a bigger argument or more confidence in the media members if that was the case, but it's not. Right, so you know what they're thinking? Oh, this time to play with the big boys. They can't make it. You know what I mean? And just automatically just discount all 4 new members.
There's some of that.
I think there's like
some of that.
95% of that.
People want to say that it's not there, but yes,
absolutely it
exists.
We can go down the list of teams. I mean, games. Of BYU in the last 40 years, from Miami to when I played Oklahoma. Right? They all think the same thing when they walk onto the field, like, oh, these white boys aren't going to be able to, and then they get, then they get the business.
That's the beautiful thing about it. Take, for example, last year TCU, Brian.
Yeah.
They were picked at the bottom or near the bottom of the Big 12.
Yep, it's true.
Brian, they got to the college football playoff, beat Michigan, and played in the national championship game, and their quarterback, who was a backup when the season began, Max Duggan, was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Yeah. You never know. You never know. That is the beauty of sports.
Yeah.
So while, there obviously have to be a bottom 4 here. If it is the new 4, that would be interesting for sure.
New 4, the bottom 4, yeah.
But who cares? Go and win games. Give teams the business.
Yes, the business.
And make things happen, right?
It's business time.
Yeah, for the record, I believe BYU will finish somewhere around 7 or 8. And that would probably mean a 4-5 record in Big 12 play, maybe 5-4, like somewhere around there. Like, I think BYU will finish in the middle of the pack, but they're going to be picked to finish in the lower third.
Yeah.
I believe strongly that will happen.
I'm with you there.
All right, our question of the day. As Brian just brought up, and as we just discussed, the Big 12 preseason media poll will be released today. Where do you expect, not want, where do you expect BYU to be in the poll when it comes out in a few hours, and why? Travis Campbell on Twitter says, I expect BYU to be at the bottom. But I like that, actually, because it gives BYU the underdog mentality that BYU has thrived on over the past decade.
There you go. I didn't even read that tweet, and I said it. We're on the same page, Travis. Matt Moon on Instagram, going to be in the 10 to 8 range, just below the top half of the conference.
I think that's blue-goggled. Honestly, to think that the media will put BYU in the 8 to 10 range right now.
Yeah, no.
I would love it. And I think BYU will finish middle of the pack when all is said and done. But right now, I just don't. They see Jaron Hall gone. They see Puka Nacua gone. They see Blake Freeland, the starting left tackle, gone, even though Kingsley's there. And they're like, And BYU was 8-5 last year. They're going to a tougher conference, playing 10 Power 5s. No. The media are going to pick BYU in the bottom third.
Yeah, and we just don't get any respect either. It's just how it goes.
It must be earned. It must be earned, especially in a conference context.
Look, man, they about to be shot.
I love it.
I'm saying, as a former player, you know how much respect that we got after the game was over. And I say this term because this is the exact words that they would say. They'd be like, "Man, you guys got some good guys. They're like, your white boys can play." They'd come tell me, and I'm black. They're like, your white boys can play, man. Like, or they'd be like, "Man, those Mormons are good, man." Whoa. I'm like, "Man, we're football players, so whatever." That's how I'm sitting here with this. I'm like, watch. They get punched in the mouth real fast.
Listen, we used to do the random title of the day for the shows, right? I bring this up often, but you just gave us the title of the show today, right there. And your white boys can play.
That is a good title.
Michael Croxall on Instagram adds, I don't care about where BYU lands in the poll. I just hope BYU is ranked higher than the other new schools in the Big 12, since BYU is the most prepared out of the new 4 schools. I'm telling you, UCF is going to be the highest rated of the new 4 schools. That's going to happen. And then I think BYU followed by Cincinnati and Houston. But I don't think that they're going to be the highest rated team in a few hours out of the new 4.
You don't think UCF is?
I don't think BYU is. UCF is, I think it's clear.
Yeah.
They've earned it. I think they've earned the right to be the highest rated of the new 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Okay.
Out of all the teams coming in, yeah, they have, I think, the most clout, right? I think
when you have a good quarterback and you return a serious core of experience, and you were pretty good last year,
that's a lot of hype.
1 + 1 + 1, Brian, equals 3, and it's going to be UCF.
Well, not nowadays, Math is like, you got to be politically correct now.
Where are the parentheses? Were there brackets involved there?
It's how I feel, the answer is.
Okay. At Wes Malquist on Twitter answers, I'm expecting BYU around number 8. I think that's where they'll finish. Top
that's a lot.
of the bottom half. BYU's too new to be higher than that. Agreed, and I think 8's too high. Yeah. But the media has seen what BYU can do against the likes of Baylor, Texas, and Oklahoma over the years, and the Cougs have done nothing to prove they can at least hang around the middle of the pack. These are all true statements, but you have to understand the media is looking at the fact that Jaren Hall is gone.
Yeah.
And they're looking at Keaton Slovis and saying, he was awesome at USC in 2019, but he hasn't really done much since then. Yeah. And he did not produce last year at Pittsburgh. A lot of new moving parts. BYU's defense was ranked 109th last year. These are the numbers the media are looking at.
Yeah, you got to. This is a good point that you brought this up. You got to look at two separate things. What this answer is alluding to more of the brand, and I said that too, right? Like the brand of BYU. That doesn't factor into what does BYU bring to the table now? What's the current team versus the brand, right? Yeah. And so when it comes to the brand, easily we're number 1 in every category as far as P5 ready, right? Okay. But as far as on the field next year, that's really where the discussion is and the voting is. So,
sure.
BYU Sports Nation will hit the road to Dallas for Big 12 Media Days. We'll have you covered with interviews from Kalani Sitake, Keaton Slovis, Cody F., and a number of other head coaches and players from other Big 12 teams. Make sure to watch July 12th, 13th, 14th at noon Eastern on BYUtv and BYU Radio.
Cannot wait. Triple digits expected in the Dallas area, by the way.
Are you going to that?
I'm going.
Am I going?
I don't know. Are you joining us?
Can I go?
Hey, you ready to put on your basketball cap? Your coach's cap for hoops?
I'm ready.
We're doing it. Eric Mika joins us next. He's got an unbelievably awesome new podcast coming out. And it's gonna resonate with you, brother. I'm telling you. It's specifically geared towards former athletes. Awesome. That and much more next on BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is sponsored by Feastbox Global Grill, a unique dining experience featuring Texas, Hawaiian, and Korean meats. Time to feast.
I was adopted as a baby. love, that's the missing piece.
4 teams are racing to find their family.
I would really love to meet my parents. It's high time that we see each other again.
I'm your dad, Tommy.
I'm your sister, love.
Really?
I just want her to know I forgive you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to an all-new season of Relative Race.
Down where he's almost impossible to stop. Austin to Mika. And the foul. Bob for Mika.
He's just a double-double waiting to happen every time he steps on the floor.
And Goliath goes down. BYU wins it.
Oh, I love those words, especially when it happens at the Kennel in Spokane. Yeah, we are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play alongside Brian Logan. I am Spencer Linton. We welcome in the man who was responsible for one of the greatest wins in BYU basketball history. Played a huge role that night. Eric Mika is back with us in Studio B.
Fun game.
Oh, man.
Everyone still asks me about it. It's everyone's favorite.
How can it not be?
For me.
Like, that was unbelievable. Undefeated #1. Down
Senior
goes
night.
Gonzaga. Senior night.
At their place.
Again.
I played 2 or 3 seasons ago in Serbia, and Josh Perkins.
Oh, yeah.
Was
Point guard for that team.
Yeah. And we were close. We were roommates on the road a lot of times. And
he's a good dude,
He's still, great dude. Still mad about it, which is awesome. So, Josh, if you're listening, sorry. Sorry I had to put you on blast on TV, but
there's like maybe 2 to 3 games as athletes that we play that we remember. And we remember, when I say remember, like we remember the details. Like I remember what I ate the morning that we played Oklahoma and beat them, because that was a big game for me. Is that game similar to you?
It was in some ways. I couldn't tell you what I ate, but I mean I remember every detail of the game. I remember after the game. I remember flying back to Provo. Like it was awesome. Just because it's been brought up so many times, you replay it in your mind so many times, and great moment, special moment for that team, and I'll never forget.
Did you guys have fans waiting at the airport?
We did. Yeah, it was like 2, 3 in the morning, and there were hundreds of people. It was awesome.
I think that was the best.
Oh man,
the best part was the fans with signs, and I was like, how did you guys make these so fast?
Right.
Yeah.
Arts and crafts, just ready to go.
Absolutely. Your life's changed a little bit since then.
A lot of it.
Okay. True. Okay. It's changed a lot. Yeah. I say that tongue in cheek, but my gosh, you and your wife, Gabby, just had your second child.
Yep.
Congratulations.
We did. Thank you. Appreciate it.
How is it again?
It's great. The second time around is a lot easier. I mean, knock on wood, but it's going well. My wife said she's a champion. She's a warrior. She's recovering great. Holding down the fort while I'm running around doing stuff like this and still working out. Got to stay in shape because I have some stuff coming up. But it's been great. It was a wild thing when the first or the second night, we left our room, and our new son, his name is Matthias. Matthias was crying. I left that room, and then I went upstairs, and Johannes was crying. So going from one room where there was a crying baby to a second room where there was another crying baby was a bit surreal, but it's been amazing.
That's incredible. Johannes he's a character, man.
He is. He's a character. You saw him down in Vegas. That guy just rules whatever room he walks in.
He is the most social toddler that maybe I've ever met. And I have some social kids.
No, he's one of a kind. He's hilarious. He loves the crowd, loves all the energy, feeds off it. He's a lot of fun.
It's fantastic, man. And sincere congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Gabby, appreciate it. Thank you.
If she's watching, Gabby, he gave you a shout out.
She'll watch eventually.
You deserve this for sure. Okay, we were talking a few weeks back, and you said, you informed me you're starting this new podcast.
Yeah.
And I got super fascinated by it because I feel like it's not a topic that has really been addressed a ton.
Right.
And that is, and you can go into detail here, but essentially, what do athletes do after they're done playing the sport that they have grown to love and it has become such a part of life? When that ends, well, now what?
Right.
And that's kind of a tricky, scary area for some guys that have only known that.
Yeah.
So first of all, what made you want to do that? And, what are the nuances of this thing?
Yeah, so, the first thing I'd say is there are resources, right? Like your parents usually being one. My parents were one. I'm sure they were trying to get me to do these things. And going to camps and clinics in high school and college, you have career counselors. You have lots of resources, right? I just think sometimes you need someone that speaks the same language, that's been through the exact same things you've been through. Maybe it's someone that you look up to on the playing field that will relay that message in a way that's a bit easier to receive as like a kid, because you just don't listen as a kid, at least not enough. So I just wanted to be that resource that kids can listen to and can relate to, that, they understand maybe the language a little bit better because, it's coming from other athletes that have done it. But basically what happened, Chad is like so sick of me just pinging him all the time and also dragging him into all these stories that I'm telling. But Chad was really the catalyst. He came down to an Ignite game in Henderson in January. He was going to a Chiefs-Raiders game, I think the next day or the day after.
And you're still playing in the G League for the Ignite.
Yeah, we'll head back there this next year.
Okay.
And he came to the game the night before the football game, and we had like an hour and a half, 2-hour conversation on the phone the next day, just kind of catching up. And he was asking me like, hey, what's next? I know like you're playing and you found this niche and it's awesome, but like, what are you doing about when you're done? Because you're one injury, you're one, contract, you're one something happening at home from being away, or while you're away from being done, right? So what are you doing about it now? And I was like, nothing, I kind of ebbed and flowed throughout my career, like really caring about it and doing research and being worried about it, getting anxiety, and then going, well, no, I'll be fine. I don't care. I'll figure something out when it comes. But when he kind of challenged me to like start doing something, I did. So I got an internship in February. I met with this VC firm, connections to BYU. So I used my network. I, got them to basically let me in the door with no experience, which was, I'm very, very grateful for. And I started in April. The short G League season allowed me to do that. And so I did 10 weeks with them. That's Pelion Ventures in Cottonwood. And, something that is so outside of my wheelhouse, like completely different. I was starting from absolute zero as far as knowledge and experience and know-how. And so it was uncomfortable. But after a week, I was like, I should have been doing this way earlier, right? And a lot of people do, right? A lot of people have done a better job of it. But for me, I was like, I should have been doing this out of high school. I should have been doing it while I was in college. I should have been doing it earlier than after my 6th year pro. And so I kind of, happenstance ran into this podcasting team that was building something that edits and produces podcasts using AI. And they said, hey, do a podcast for us. So I thought about it and I was like, why not talk about where I am now in my journey and what I wish I would have done, what I would tell myself if I could go back in time, and then meet with other athletes that have done it or that are doing it the right way, what they're telling their kids, what they're telling, the youth that they come in touch with, and see if we can be that resource that bridges the gap between former athletes, current athletes, and younger athletes that are aspiring to be the very best, but in reality, the numbers are against them, right? They need to start thinking about other things and cultivating another side to their life at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because no matter what, every student athlete, every athletic student, every athletic student thinks they're going to the league, right? Like I'm going to the NBA, I'm going to the NFL, and I think we're just so consumed with that goal that like there is no other reality for us, right? Like this is our reality. It's make or break. And then you kind of even think to yourself, well, if I do have a plan B, maybe I'm not confident in myself.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not giving it my all to plan A.
Right. Exactly. So I'm just gonna not focus on that and then just focus on going to the league. But what's also interesting is Chad Lewis is the one who kind of sparked it for you. If that was some random guy or a random person, that you couldn't relate to, you would probably just brush it off, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the really cool dynamic of having some of these people on, is they've done it or they're currently doing it. And I think young athletes will listen to them, right? I would love if they listen to me too, but we're bringing other people so that they can hear these same stories that I'm blessed and grateful to have. I have unbelievable mentors and some really cool friends that are doing amazing things on and off the field, on and off the court. And so I just want these conversations to not be private. I want them to be public to all athletes.
Yeah, what I love about it is you're kind of the bridge right here. You're kind of experiencing the transition a little bit, right? You know it's coming soon.
Yes, unfortunately,
right?
yes.
No, I mean, And soon is relative. It's however many years you still want to keep playing, but you're kind of in that middle ground.
Yeah.
You're talking to guys that have already transitioned onto something else, and your audience is, you know, the guys that are still very much in it chasing a dream, right?
Well, and people that, you know, look forward to that down the road, right?
Yes.
Like high school athletes that think they're going to make it to college even, like that next step. And I'm part of the audience too. Like, we've done 13 episodes. I think we're trying to do 25 for our first season, right? And we'll have those done probably by the end of the summer. And I'm learning things. Like, it's helping me figure out my path and what I'm going to do to set myself up. So if it's helping me, I like to imagine that it's helping, you know, younger athletes as well.
It's called Now for Later.
Now for Later, yeah.
It debuts on July 17th.
Yes. So we actually have an episode 0 out right now, which is me, my story, my journey, you know, what I've done up to this point professionally and in school. You know, the parts I wish I would have changed, at least preparing, right? And then the 17th, we'll start releasing weekly with our guests, which will be a lot of fun.
Could you? This is a vision I have for you. Could you foresee this turning into like a little agency or a business where you actually, you know, bring on athletes and help them through that journey?
I think that's a ways down the road. It'd take an even bigger commitment, obviously. We have, you know, my team and I have talked about that, though, you know, finding a way to turn this into a platform where we connect current athletes, whether they're high school or college or even pro, that maybe haven't started some of these things, and connect them with a specific athlete. So if you're on the women's soccer team right now and you're studying engineering or you're interested in engineering, we literally find you a pro that has done that same thing, that has made that transition, that has done, you know, both sides of it and balanced it and figured it out. I think something like that would be cool. But we've only just ideated a little bit.
Now, I don't know how much you want to reveal at this point, but
all of it.
Okay.
No, we're not hiding anything.
Okay.
We're going to start posting, and it's going to be everywhere.
Who's on the guest list?
So we've met with John Stockton, Harrison Barnes, Avery Bradley, Kyle Van Noy, Jeremy Jones, a snowboarder. I don't know. I'm not a snowboarding person, so I didn't really know who he was.
I recognize the name.
I did the research, and like the guy's incredible. Like he really like revolutionized modern day snowboarding, like what it is now. I'm trying to think who else. Obviously Chad Lewis. You know, some really big names. We have yeses from Steve Young. We've had to cancel a couple times. He's apparently a busy guy.
That makes sense.
We know about that.
Some very busy people. So we have yeses from him. We have yeses from Darren Williams, from Sean Johnson, from Michaela Skinner.
Fantastic.
We have a lot of yeses. It's working with their schedules, figuring out what works best for them. Because at the end of the day, like they're very busy. They're trying to balance their lives as well. But what's cool for me and what we're really trying to do is sprinkle in like the realistic stories. Like, and I don't want to downplay like these people's careers as professionals as well, but like the realistic stories where maybe you thought about pursuing college soccer, but you decided not to, you did something else, right? And then now you're crushing it. One of those is mixed in there. Or you did play college soccer, but you stopped early so that you could focus on school and go into finance. That's another story that we've had. Like, I want to make sure that we have this balance of, yeah, John Stockton has an incredible story, and some of his tidbits for life are great, and they're coming from John Stockton. But you're not going to be John Stockton. No one is. Like, I don't think anyone is ever going to be him or put up the numbers he did. Like, we're seeing that's clear. You know, some of the things he's did will never be done again. So why not balance that out with somebody that had another really cool, you know, college, even sometimes professional career, but went a different route and then is crushing it in life at doing something else.
Outstanding. All right, we'll finish with this quick hitter.
Yeah.
BYU is now officially in the Big 12.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like the Big 12 basketball conference is like a pseudo G League era.
Yeah, it's very good.
Like I know it's not there yet, but
really, really good.
It's so good. What's your number one bit of advice to BYU basketball to help them transition in to the toughest basketball conference in America?
I actually had Leanne Pope on the show. Amazing perspective.
Incredible personality.
Woo. Incredible personality
Awesome
and amazing perspective.
Yes.
Dad was a coach. Brothers played and were coaches. Obviously, she's married to Mark, who studied the LSAT, the MCAT, and the GMAT while he was in the NBA.
He's
right?
unbelievable.
Like, talk about preparing now for later, right? Has daughters that are playing D1 sports. Anyways, and Leanne and I had this conversation. There's not a better coach, not a better family to lead BYU, I think, into the Big 12, because the bit of advice I have, and the word is patience, right? Like, there's going to be growing pains. It's going to be hard because it's a really tough league. Like, I think Pope put it best when he was like, why not just invite the Boston Celtics, right? Like there's very, very good players. There's national championships, like recent national championships in there. So there are going to be growing pains. It's going to be hard, but like, it's all worth it, right? Everything that's worth it is going to be hard in the beginning. So it's going to take some time. You know, we as a fan base and as alumni are going to have to be patient, but it's going to click. And when it does, it's going to bring the whole university to another level. It'll be really cool.
Take it from a man who has guarded Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, and LeBron James.
And LeBron.
I'd put LeBron first.
That's right, brother. Right. Great stuff. Hey, we're super stoked for you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Really good stuff coming down
the
line, and we will be dialed in for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Tomorrow, join us for BYU Football Great Moments, as told by players, Volume 2. Players like my quarterback, Max Hall, against Utah, and a plethora of others.
Yes.
See how I use that word? Tomorrow, noon Eastern, on BYUtv and BYU Radio.
We need to have BYU Basketball Great Moments and have Eric Mika on that show talking about the Gonzaga win.
Just play the same game over and over.
Up next, recent mock drafts have Kingsley Suamata'i in a new place. We'll tell you where, and are you buying it? This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Dowling Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Accidents don't just happen 9 to 5. They happen when you least expect them. The team at Siegfried & Jensen is here for you 24/7. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour. Really here for you. No matter when you call us, you'll speak to a real person and have access to the same expertise and personal attention as always, and get the legal help you need when you need it. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour, 24/7.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
This is where we dominate. Our playground, place of business. This is our promised land, where we seek to find ourselves. And we're here to make sure the spaces our best prove themselves on appear how they should. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Follow BYU Sports Nation on social media for content throughout the day on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I'm trying to get us Pinterest and Snapchat.
Okay, and what about Threads? Now there's Threads. It's like Instagram's version of Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, just when I thought there was going to be another one. Of course there's another one. Sheesh. Welcome back to Studio B. I'm Spencer. He is Brian Logan. Let's get to today's headlines.
BYU offensive lineman Kingsley has been named to the preseason All-12 Big 12 team. He started 12 games for the Cougars last season, allowing 0 sacks. He was one of just 4 sophomores to make the list.
Wow.
The Big 12 preseason media poll will be released later this afternoon.
Former BYU women's golfer Alicia May Mateo, elite to the very core, will compete in the United States Women's Open today in Pebble Beach, California. How cool is that?
Former
She's
BYU
U.S. Open.
That is.
She tees off at 5:57 p.m. Eastern, so that's just before 4 p.m. Mountain.
We have good athletes, man. I don't think
we're spoiled.
We don't recognize our other athletes as much as football and basketball, but you know, we're well-rounded. Former BYU golfer Peter Quest competes in the John Deere Classic today. He finished tied 4th last week at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. He's set to tee off today at 3:22 Eastern.
Another dude on the PGA Tour.